Hi, my name is Amy. Thank you very much for watching, and let's make some bad financial decisions together. This is for entertainment purposes only, so if you're entertained, please like and subscribe. I would really appreciate that. And hopefully you can hear me today. I just adjusted the volume, so hopefully that's not an issue today. Anyways, Amplify has two new Bitcoin high income ETFs. One is BITY and one is BAGY, and they fit the profile of the two different types of high income ETF investors. One is they want their best total return and they're willing to accept less income. And then there's people like me who are yield chasers and just want the most income possible because I am capable of investing in the underlying and getting the better return just from the underlying. But BITY, what it's doing is they use an ETP, which is a derivative product, which comes with its own set of risks, but they're using an ETP to do cover calls on Bitcoin, and they are doing 5 to 10% out of the money cover calls, and their goal is to do 24% premium, but also to capture as much upside as possible. So they are just not going to be as aggressive with their cover calls as BAGY. And what BAGY is doing is it's still an ETP. They both pay out monthly, and they are just going to put it 5%, around 5% out of the money. So it's not an intelligent, like they're not looking at the velocity or anything like that or the market conditions. They're just going to put it at 5% out of the money and collect that premium for us for Bitcoin. So you might be sacrificing some of your upside potential, but you'll be getting pretty much maximum income. So where does that leave us? It's just like for ETPs, you just have to understand what the risks are for that. And in normal times and in good times, it doesn't matter if it's a poor man's cover call or an ETP or ETN or swap or any of these. It's just that when you get into those weird situations where it becomes an issue, then it is a big issue. And for ETPs, they have a liquidity risk. So if people all of a sudden don't want to trade ETPs, then the bid-ask spread will be much higher, and it will be more expensive to do this type of strategy. And there are some other risks, but that's pretty much the biggest one that I could identify. So on YieldMight, because they have had their first distribution, they are in this is every 4 weeks, and you have to scroll all the way down. They're in week 4, which is the same as IMRA and iMist and iCoin and ETH and SEPI. But here we have right up before BTCI, we have BAGY. So BAGY is getting more than BTCI, which has been around for a lot longer, first of all, and then has a good reputation. And then BITY is almost, well, it's doing worse as far as the income you receive, but in the future, when we do total real returns after a few months, we might see that BITY has a better total return than both BTCI and BAGY, and that will be interesting to see. So, but how does it compare to all of the ETFs? If we do the compare funds and we do crypto, and we actually have it on the screen, and okay, we're going to accept this, and we're going to do crypto, and then we're going to try to make this full screen again. Okay, so we have, IMRA and iMist and iCoin and Coney and Winter and Maro. So basically, a lot of these are before this, but these are not Bitcoin related, just Bitcoin by itself. But then we have BITO, having $453.07 per $10,000 invested. And then we have SEPI, which is not just Bitcoin. And then we have YBIT. And then we have BAGY, then BTCI, and then BITY. So it's doing better than YBTC, but at least as far as distributions go, but YBTC pays weekly. So if that is important to you, then maybe, YBTC isn't that bad. And also a lot of people like Maxi, which I think pays less but might have better total real returns. But since we're talking about Bitey and Baggy and they just had their first distribution, we're going to have to wait a few months and see different conditions and to definitively say when would be the best time to invest in Bitey and Baggy versus other ones. And I still like SEPI, honestly. It might not be the highest payout amongst all these, but it is a collection and it's doing really good. And I also do still like LFGY because it's a basket of stocks. So if one of them, the stocks, doesn't do well, then like if all of a sudden MicroStrategy just stops being volatile, then, I would have regret not being, and Mario's still doing okay, then I'd feel bad. But if I'm in something like LFGY or SEPI that has both of those, then as one loses momentum for whatever reason, I'll still have the other one. So, not that I'm not in Misty, because I'm in a lot of Misty, but that's just my opinion, that I'm not really a single stock investor for the most part, except for things like Misty, because they got me hooked. So, for Financial Philharmonics, we have Fear Don't Know Finance, and this is just like a comedy hip-hop song, and just like, don't let fear inform you about what you should be doing with your portfolio, because you're going to lose a lot of money. And speaking of fear of things, I did both of my final interviews yesterday, and I have not heard back from either company yet, and I'm sitting here and I'm pretty anxious about it, but also it doesn't matter. I can just be financially independent and do YouTube and Yield Might full time, and it won't be a big deal. But I'm still sitting here like just looking at my inbox, just trying to will and manifest into existence an offer letter. There was a clear winner in my mind about who I would want to be working with, but it doesn't matter if one or the other doesn't give me an offer letter, or neither, or I just think that for me personally, I don't have a bad option moving forward. It's just the fear of the unknown that everybody kind of dreads. So things are looking good for me, and I'll keep you updated on whether I have a job, a W-2 job, or if I'm going to be independent. And we'll probably know by tomorrow, but who knows? So I'll talk to you all later. What do you all think about these two new ETFs, and which one are you more excited about? Are you more excited about Baggy and getting the highest distributions, or BITY and trying to get more total returns? And I'll talk to you later. Bye.